are going to review for our big test coming up, Chapter 8 test. I think you guys, if you've put in the time, kept up with your work, will do great on this. I will rush through this so you don't have to watch too much. You're welcome to skip through it and find the ones that you need some review on. Most of them are just straightforward plugging in to formulas. You just got to make sure you find the right formula and you're careful about what it's asking about. If it's volume, surface area, maybe it'll just ask you for the lateral surface area. You have to be careful about that. So let's go. Let's get after it. So first one, we are going to look at the volume of each solid. So this first one is a volume of a cone. Now I have the reference sheet available to me, and I'm going to find cone, and I see in the left column it lists volume. Volume is 1/3 pi r squared h, so I'm going to write that down. Volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h, and I need to find my values. Now it doesn't say to use an approximation for pi, so I'm just going to use the pi button, and that will give me, that's the most likely thing to get me close to these exact answers over on the left side. Well, they're not exact answers, but to match those exactly is what I'm trying to say. All right. Anyway, the radius is 7. The height of that cone is 15. And when I put that into my calculator, I get 769.7 when I round to the nearest tenth, as the problem says. And because it's volume, I'm going to be measuring it in cubic units. So in this case, that would be B, my answer. All right, now we're finding the volume of a cube. So I would run to my formula sheet, my reference sheet, and I find the left side of this little section, volume 4/3 pi r cubed. So I'm going to write that down, 4/3 pi r cubed. Now, once I write it down, I can substitute in for r, which is going to be 3, and I put the little 3 up above it. Now, I'll show you how I type this in. It might be helpful. So I'm going to get to my calculator, and I'm going to show you how I type that in. So I go 4 divided by 3 times, because that's like 4/3, times, I use the pi button, right? And then I'm going to multiply it by 3 to the third, which is times 3 times 3 times 3. All right, and there we have it. It comes to 113.09, which rounds to 113.1. So let's get back to the problem. Volume is approximately 113.1 inches cubed, right there. Keep it moving. Remember to pause, go back, rewatch, all right, to make sure that you're figuring this all out. Now, I'm still sticking with those same original directions. It said find volume, so now I have to find the volume of a cylinder. I'm going to go to my reference sheet, and I'm going to find cylinders. There it is. I'm finding volume. I like the highlighted one in yellow, which is volume equals pi r squared h. So let's use that. Volume equals pi r squared h. Volume equals pi times the radius here is 9 squared times the height. Always connects the two bases, which are circular bases in this case. And we have, I'm going to use my calculator. Okay, and I've actually already done that, so I know the answer is going to be 2,799.2 approximately. So that's going to be C. All right, volume of a sphere. The only tricky part here is they give you the diameter. So that's going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. They give you the diameter, so we're going to have to cut this in half and find this piece here, which would be 2.2. So now we can just plug that in, 4/3 times pi times 2.2 to the third power. And when I wrote that all down in my calculator, I got 44.6 approximately Zoop, zoop. And so that's centimeters to the third power. And that would be part B. Hopefully you're cruising through this and just finding little mistakes that'll help you remember stuff on the test coming up. All right, now we're switching over to surface area of a cylinder. All right, I'll use my sheet again. I'm already at cylinders, and I'm just going to look over to the right this time. 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. So I'm going to write that down. Surface area equals 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. And I'm going to plug in or substitute. Oh, that's my wife working with our air compressor. I don't know what she's doing. She's building something. But let's focus on this. If you can focus with that loud noise. And the radius there is 22 squared. And I'll show you, just tell you, you can type all that in straight up into the calculator. It should know order of operations and help you out there. The result comes to 10,781.94 centimeters squared. I should have done it to the 10th because that's what it tells me to round it to, so it would be just to 9/10 there, and that would be B. So all of these have been pretty straightforward. The only thing that might have tripped you up is using diameter instead of radius accidentally. All right, we're still going surface area. So surface area of a cone. All right, and it tells us the radius and it tells us the slant height. So we need to find the surface area of the cone formula. Oh, there it is, surface area to the right there. So that's pi RL plus pi R squared. So surface area of a cone, pi RL plus pi R squared. And the pi, we're just going to leave it like that. The radius, it says, is 6. The slant height is 8. So pi times, and that's going to be 6 squared. When I put all that into the calculator, it comes to 263.9 meters squared. And so that looks like we have A. All right, cylindrical teacup. It says it has a height. So we have a cylinder. We got a height of 7 and a radius of 3. And we're looking for volume. Now, you might need your formula sheet. I don't for this one. It's pi R squared H. Volume equals pi times the radius said it was 3, so we got to square that, and the height is 7. When we plug that into our calculator, we get 197.9 approximately, and that's going to be centimeters to the third power. All right. This is going to be a little long because I'm going through all the problems, but you're welcome to skip around and check out what you need to check out. All right, so here's one of our more challenging problems. The storage tank shown below is to be painted. What is the surface area to be painted to the nearest tenth? Now, this is the cool part. Assume that the bottom does not need to be painted. So how are we going to adjust our formula? Well, let's remember the formula for surface area of a cylinder. It's 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. This part over here is the lateral surface area. That's the curve, right, around. And this part here are the two circles, the two circular bases. All right, so we're only going to be painting the one circular base. We do not need to paint that bottom circular base. It's on the ground. No one's going to see that. And it'd be hard to kind of lift the whole oil tank up and paint it. So what we're going to do to adjust this is we're going to cross off that 2. So we're only going to do one of those bases, and this is how we're going to do it. Now that we've adjusted, we're going to substitute in, and we have the diameter of 30, so we only need 15 for the radius, and the height is 12. Now we have pi times the radius is 15 squared. So once I've type all that into my calculator, I get 1,837.8 feet squared. So the correct answer there was B. Number 9, we're almost halfway there. The popcorn container at the movie theater is in the shape of a cone. We're dealing with a cone. Suppose the popcorn container has a radius. So we got a radius of 6 inches and a slant height of 14 inches. What is the lateral area that we're looking for? So let's look at our formula sheet. We've got this formula for surface area. That first part of it, the pi RL part, is the lateral area, and the pi r squared part is the base, because the area of a circle is pi r squared. So you can kind of, whenever you see pi r squared, you know, hey, that's the circular base. So we're just looking for the lateral surface area here, and that's pi r L, L being the lateral, the slant height. All right, so we got pi times 6 times 14, and that gives us a result of 264. It gave me a bunch of decimals, but it says to round to the nearest inch this time. So I'm going to round it to that, and it's inches squared since it's surface area. Area always inches squared, volume always inches cubed. So we have C there. Number 10, the composite figure. We're finding volume, and then we have to kind of break this composite figure into 2 separate shapes, one being a cylinder and one being a rectangular prism. Now we need the volume formulas for both. I know that a cylinder is pi r squared h, and a rectangular prism can either be BH, big BH, meaning the big B as the area of the base, or we can do volume equals length times width, volume equals length times width times height. All right, so let's get after it. Here we go. Pi, the radius of that looks like here 3 squared. The height is 10. So we have pi, oops, I'm not going to bother writing that. I'm going to say that the volume of that, when we type in our calculator, is approximately 282.7. And let's do this one. I'm going to use LWH. That's going to be 12 times 7 times 4. Volume equals, looks like it comes to 336. Now we're going to add those two up, and we get a grand total of about 619 inches cubed, because it does say to round to the nearest whole number again. So I'm going to do that, and that is A. Woohoo! 11. I better hustle because my timer on this video is going to run out. The surface area of a cone is 54 square inches. So we have the surface area of a cone is 54 square inches. What is the surface area of a similar cone? Oh, this is one that we skipped this lesson. The quick answer is that surface area. Remember, we talked about how area in similar shapes actually multiplies by the scale factor squared. So if the cone is 3 times bigger, then the area would be 3 times 3 times bigger. So it would be like 9 times bigger, or the scale factor squared. All right. Anyway, moving on to number 12. Find the volume of each solid, round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So we're finding volume again. So volume of a sphere would be 4/3 pi r cubed. So 4/3 times pi times radius is 4 cubed. So number 12, oops, yep, that's going to be 268.1 millimeters cubed. I should have an approximately symbol, and that's part B. Hustling, let's go. Now we have 13, which is, we're finding the volume still because of those directions up there. So we have the volume, and volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. Refer to your reference sheet if you need to. They gave us the diameter, so we have to cut that in half and make it 3 to plug in for the radius. And the height is 18. Once we do that, we get 508.9 millimeters cubed, and it's approximately. And that's going to be C. All right. Hopefully you're following along all right so far. Now we're finding the volume of this cone, which we know the formula is 1/3 pi r squared h. Look on your formula sheet if you don't know that. 1/3 pi, and the radius here is 3. The height is 9. Volume equals, when it comes out to it, it's approximately 84.8 centimeters cubed. That's part A. Moving on. Still finding volume of a cone. So volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. Volume equals 1/3 times pi times, it gives us a diameter. We got to divide it by 2 and get 2.75. So that's 2.75 squared plus, oops, not plus, but times 11.2, which is the height. And when we do that math, we get 88.7 inches cubed. There we go. Number 16, we're back to surface area. Surface area of this cylinder. And that's going to give us surface area equals 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. Now we're going to substitute in the radius, which they give us the diameter, so we need to figure out the radius is half of that, which would be 7.5 times the height, which is 24.3 plus 2 times pi times 7.5 squared. When I plug all that into the calculator, it comes to 1,498.5 approximately. And that is part C. Oh, we are almost there. Surface area of this cone, we're still following the directions to that one. So surface area for a cone is going to be pi RL, which is the lateral surface area, plus the base, which is pi r squared. We have pi times 6 times 13 plus pi times 6 squared. My hand is getting a little tired. I just did the same thing for my 7th grade class, and whew. All right, what do we got here? When that comes out, it is 358.1 inches squared, and so we got B there. Now we have the volume of this hemisphere. Now on our formula sheet, we don't have anything to help us out there. We have a sphere, no hemisphere. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the volume of a sphere and then divide the answer by 2. So we'll go volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed, and plug everything in. 4/3 times pi times the radius, which is 7, and we'll cube that, and we'll get a large answer of 1,436.8 approximately. And then what we'll do is we're going to take that answer and divide it by 2, because we only have half of that sphere, and that comes to 718.4 centimeters cubed. All right, so we had to do that divide by 2 here because we only had half of the sphere. And our final problem, we are finding the lateral surface area, the lateral and total surface area of a cone. So lateral surface area is going to be pi RL, and the full surface area is going to be pi RL plus pi r squared. All right, this first part, you might not know. You might want to make a note of that. It might be something that you're not quite, like, it's not on the tip of your tongue, but Just make a note of it on your reference sheet or in your notes. Okay, let's do this. Almost done. Pi times the radius. Ooh, they give us the diameter, so the radius is going to be 7.5. 7.5. The slant height is 15. All right, so the lateral surface area comes to 353.4. That's going to be feet squared. And then our whole surface area, well, we already know that this part is 353.4. We already calculated that. So now we can just do pi r squared, which is going to be 7.5 squared. And that comes to 353.4 plus 176.7. And then when we add that up to get our total surface area, we get 530.1 feet squared. And so we have our two answers here, and that looks like it's A. Wow. All right, we did it. Good luck. I'm confident that a lot of you will do well if you've kept up with all of this. And good luck. Have a terrific day.